putty, which is a dual arc lighter with also an extra compartment that has pyro putty inside of it, which is, I guess, just an extra flammable substance. Why is it called Summer Blend? Makes it sound like a fruit punch. The Air Lighter 2. So this uses superheated air so that you have no toxic and hazardous chemicals. I can't wrap my head around that. It blows air at 760 degrees Celsius. A deep red fire is about 600 to 800 degrees Celsius. That is so cool. Stormproof, waterproof, windproof matches. It says you can light them, you can put them underwater, you can take them out, and the fire carries on. I'm at knives and blades and guns. And yep. Yeah, fair enough.
When you get car insurance, you get a price based on all these drivers.
Everything is finally here, but this is the part that I'm actually worried about. It is freezing cold. I have almost no cooked food. So can all of this gear actually save us from this situation? There's 18 products, and to spice it up, we're only going to be able to keep the best 8 in our inventory. Let's see which ones are good enough to make it, going roughly from cheapest to most expensive. Starting with the $7 zip tie stitches. So, orange me. You have no idea how many takes it took to get that right. Imagine that you are this orange. You're wounded, you're in the middle of a forest, there is no one here to stitch you up. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Well, with this, we should be able to stick down on either side of the wound, pull on the zip ties. Oh, right, yeah. So it really has managed to pull the wound together. That's gonna hurt a lot less than sewing. It requires 0 skill. It's going to resist the force of the skin pulling apart, which might be helpful for reducing scarring. Plus, the middle section is transparent, so you can keep an eye on the wound to make sure it's not getting infected. So I say we keep these. These zip ties aren't quite big enough if you had a really large gash like this, but they would be good enough if you just had small cuts. cuts. At $13 now, the Stormproof matches look pretty badass right out the box, because unlike a normal set of matches, which come in that thin papery packaging that would probably last about 12 seconds in torrential rain, these guys come in a sealed waterproof container. And you know me, no claim is going untested here. But good start. It is bone dry inside. And before we actually light them, since I'm also wearing these Bushbuck dry toes socks right now, why don't we just... I swear, if this doesn't work, I've ruined my entire day. This is a really weird feeling, because if I put my feet back into my shoes and wriggle around, it does kind of feel like they're wet because there's water sloshing around inside my shoes. But it's only when I take my feet out that it's clear that they are in fact dry, while also feeling like they've got a suit of armor around them right now. The inner layer is super cozy, the middle layer is the waterproof one, and then the outer layer is designed to protect you against the bumps and scrapes that you might find in an environment like this. So for example, all these rough textured objects, you can rub them as much as you want. You can literally try and sandpaper your feet. Nothing, don't even feel it. The only thing that has managed to penetrate this armor is thorns. I tested them, they still hurt. So this is not indestructible. These are more expensive than half the shoes I own, but they are better than half the shoes I own too. So these are going in the bag too. Anyway, back to these matches. So you get 25 of them in the box, and then also 2 spare strikers on the inside, in case this one on the outside gets ruined. Again, smart. Like, how tragic would it feel if you had 25 unlit Stormproof matches on the inside that you couldn't light because your case got wet? And so, at least according to the website, I should be able to light this up, get it wet, and it'll still stay lit up. So when you get started, that is a fire. It looks immediately a lot more powerful than a normal match. But now we're going to go for the full send. Actually, try and wet it. Ah, there you go. And it's still... still going! If this works, this is actually black magic. Okay, it's out. It did! Oh my... Oh my God, that is sick. That is so cool. So apparently what's happening is that this red coating you see on these matches releases oxygen as it's burning, thus sustaining the flame even when there's no air around, which is why when we dunk it in this beaker, you can see bubbles coming out. And it's also why...
Want to know how my team went from another status meeting to actually ahead of schedule? Take a look at any office and you'll see.
This is almost impossible to even blow out. I actually can't believe what I'm seeing right now. What? This is actually such a good product for not a crazy price. We're carrying it, and I'm getting carried away. I actually need to start saying no to stuff. Now, while the sun's out, because you never really know in the UK, this feels like a pretty good time for my favorite part of the day. It's food time. Or possibly starvation time, depending on how well the portable solar oven actually works. But it's nice and compact, I'll give it that. So, you open it up, portable solar oven actually works. But it's nice and compact, I'll give it that. So, you open it up, it's got a little wedge on the inside which keeps it opened up. Right, time to get our food inside. Here's one I caught earlier. So this is a solar vacuum tube. The idea is that it perfectly insulates the food so the heat that it has doesn't leave it, all while these reflective surfaces around it gather as much of the sun as possible and direct it at the tube to bring in new heat. It's a pretty intricate little system. Like, it's got a red dot here, and it's saying that for optimal cooking, you want the shadow of that red dot to be lined up with the center behind it. And it's got the ability to prop itself up at just the right angle to achieve that. So let's start the timer. This thing is advertised to be able to cook meals. within 20 to 30 minutes. And so if this works, that's actually really potent, because this isn't just food. If it can cook your food, it can also boil water, therefore sterilize water, all with what effectively amounts to the power of thin air. So let's come back in a little bit and find out. And now we're on the subject of cooking. Now feels like a pretty good time for the lighter face-off, which is the best lighter in the world. Starting with the permanent match, which is kind of like a half match, half lighter. So it kind of operates like a match. You grab this flint rod, you strike it against the casing, and you try and spark it. It lights, but because this has lighter fluid on the inside and a proper wick, it can stay lit for a really long time. So you can light the match pretty easily, but it's harder to transfer that lit match into a lit fire, because the average piece of wood you're going to find out and about is not readily combustible. So really, in most situations, you'd also have to be carrying around a fire starter too, making it a little less portable. It's an interesting hybrid product, and compared to a cheap $1 lighter, it probably will be more reliable when it gets wet or when it's particularly windy. But then again, there is something just so effortless about the cheap lighter that the permanent match loses. It's actually a little less convenient and would need topping up with lighter fluid pretty regularly. So I'm gonna pass on this one. But let's say we step it up to the $30 mark. We could then get the way cooler sounding plasma arc lighter. Now, plasma lighters have become a whole genre at this point. They use oppositely charged electrodes which create an arc of plasma between them when powered, which is hot enough to set things alight. And the cool thing about that is they don't need any fuel, they just need charge. But the extra cool thing about this plasma lighter is that it also contains pyro putty. This is basically your fire starter. So let's see if it works. Let's dab it on the top there. I will say it does feel like a slight design flaw that the trigger for the plasma lighter is so close to the plasma itself, meaning that you have to get really close to the fire. Now let's see if that's enough to get the whole thing going. As expected, this is currently doing nothing. My waning sensation in my fingers. You know what? It actually works. It's a good enough fire starter that you can be rest assured that the tiny little bit of putty that will fit into the bottom of this one lighter is actually enough to get you going. Okay, but probably the coolest thing is this pyro putty. They're saying that even if you get it wet, you can apparently just strain it. And what I'm really excited to see is, can we now still light this? If this works, it'll be so impressive. It's definitely a little more resistant to lighting than when it was dry.
DevSlopes is the only coding academy out there that teaches you how to earn income while you learn how to code. How do they do that? They nerd.
Okay, it does light, eventually. This is so cool. It's by far my favorite so far. All topped off by the fact that the casing is complete. Completely waterproof and glow in the dark too. I can't see it getting much better than this. But then at 3 times that price, we have Zippo's Chad older brother, aka the Titan Light. So this one still runs on lighter fluid. It's more traditional, but it allows for longer intervals between refills than a basic lighter because of an O-ring seal that prevents evaporation. It's got a waterproof exterior to 1 meter depth. It's got supposedly a high spark flint wheel, which That's actually kind of satisfying. Plus, you can also tell this is the most reliable flame that we've had so far. Question is it a powerful enough flame to light the wood even without a fire starter? Ooh, the answer of which appears to be a pretty resounding yes. I mean, it won't light wet wood, but in any case, it's going to do a better job than any other traditional style lighter. So this is basically just the lighter done right. It just doesn't seem nearly as good value for money as the plasma arc lighter. Okay, this GoSen has been, well, going for nearly 38 minutes. And some part of me is honestly expecting this to have done absolutely nothing. Let's find out. Whoa, holy moly. This thing cooked. I mean, let's be honest, it's a pretty sad looking meal, but it's actually steaming in here. It's going to need a little longer to get it to where I want it to, but this is going to work. Ow. Now, the FlexTail Tiny Pump is, wow. These guys weren't kidding. thing actually feels like it weighs nothing. So there's a lamp on the front, which has 3 different settings. I call them basically non-existent, actually pretty decent, and practically a flashlight. The back is a magnet. I mean, you're not going to find a huge amount to stick it onto in the wilderness. It's more for snapping it onto your own equipment, but it's also not a very strong magnet at all. They even sell it as being able to oxygenate your campfire with the air that it's blowing, which there is a pretty easy way to test. You know what, actually, that does do the job. It is rapidly accelerating this thing's growth. And then, of course, finally, does do the job. It is rapidly accelerating this thing's growth. And then, of course, finally, it's a pump, so it can deflate if, let's say, you want to vacuum pack some clothes to save space, but then also inflate with